There's a lot of questions about the power of government in a time of national emergency like we're seeing right now. So what does that really mean for all of us who own businesses, who have families, who might be scared in this time? So we asked our friend, former four-time Assembly member Mike Gatto, to come in and give us some perspective on what the rules are and how it works for us. Hi, Mike.
Hey, it's great to be with you from afar.
Yes, good to see you too. Okay, so first and foremost, we keep hearing all of these things that the governor might start handing down. Obviously, he has said everybody has to stay home, non-essential businesses have to close. Does he really have the power to do that? Don't we live in America where we have freedoms?
Yeah, the short answer is that he does, that the powers of executives, governors, mayors, presidents during times of crises are fairly substantial. And they can do things like ordering businesses to close or ordering businesses to ramp up production of certain things. But I'll tell you, there are certain things that they can't do. For example, they can't tell a house of worship that they absolutely cannot have services. They also probably have some limits with respect to their definition of essential businesses. I know right now there's some lawsuits that are going to fly in the state of California because the governor has ordered that guns cannot be imported from other states. And what that means is that's sort of a de facto shutdown of gun shops because guns aren't manufactured in California. And as you can imagine, they're not too happy about it.
That's interesting. Okay, so obviously the legal ramifications of all of these impositions that the governor is putting out, I mean, down the road, we're going to have to deal with those. And you're saying that those lawsuits are already in motion?
They're already in motion, yeah. I mean, if you imagine, if you read the governor's executive order, it states that there's a certain class of businesses that are deemed essential. And those businesses are set by an obscure federal department called CISA, C-I-S-A. And I've read the list because, of course, I'm a big dork. And, you go through the list and, it's kind of arbitrary, it seems, what is essential and what's not. But there's a lot of people who think, for example, defending your house, that's essential, right? There's a lot of people concerned about civil unrest, whether rightly or wrongly. So I think there's going to be some lawsuits in the near future, people going into federal court seeking restraining orders against some of these orders that governors and mayors have put out.
Okay. I want to talk about, there's a lot of speculation online, on Twitter. You hear the president say what he says vaguely, then you hear the governor kind of, in both New York and in California, where there's the highest concentration of these cases of COVID-19. And you hear this more stronger language coming from them. And then you hear the panic start and trickle down to the regular citizens about martial law. Everybody keeps throwing that word martial, those two words out. What is that? What is that? And can it really be imposed? And do you think in this time it would be imposed?
It's a great question, Lisa Remillard, and this is one that I think is on the minds of just about everybody out there. My Twitter feed is blowing up with people asking this question. So martial law basically means that the law is suspended and that the military, the people who practice martial powers, the military would run things, meaning running the courts, meaning that if you do something wrong, you go before a military tribunal, not the court. That is pretty rare. So I tell people the outright imposition of martial law probably ain't going to happen. But will we see National Guard in our streets? Will we see people who look like soldiers patrolling our streets? I say that's definitely going to happen. I would say probably within a week, we're going to see soldiers, National Guard soldiers, taking some of the law enforcement duties away from regular police. Now, there's an important distinction. There's an old law called the Posse Comitatus Act that people talk about a lot online in online forums. And that is an 1876 law that prohibits the military from enforcing the law. But the National Guard, remember, technically are arms of the state. And their state governors can control them. They're not the federal military. So we will see National Guard, I think, patrolling. Because you think about it, right? There's a lot of stores that are closed. There's a lot of people who are out of work. There's a lot of people who are sitting around drinking all day. And that's a horrible combination.
Yeah, I was thinking that. In fact, I just said that the other day. I mean, it would surprise me with all of these businesses that have to be shuttered because of the laws that the governor has laid down. It would be surprising to me if we didn't start seeing some of that kind of criminal activity ramp up. So I would imagine, but how does that work with the National Guard? If indeed, and we're not saying that has come down yet, but it could, like you're saying, it could, and it might in the next couple of weeks with what we're all dealing with. But what does that really mean? Does that mean, like, if we go out of our house, some National Guardsman is going to come and say, get back in your house? What does that look like?
Yeah, it actually, the closest proxy I think we have in recent memory is Hurricane Katrina. And there, the residents of New Orleans and Louisiana, they got very used to seeing National Guard soldiers sort of patrolling the streets. Would they say, gee, prove to me that you're really doing something beneficial? Probably not. I mean, if you said, listen, I'm delivering food to my elderly mother and she can't go out, I mean, how's that soldier going to be able to verify that? But we will see, I think, an enforced presence in the weeks to come as things get a little crazier. What I tell people is be prepared for a psychological headline. I think that by this time next weekend, we're going to see a headline that there have been 1 million cases in the world. Now think about that. That's a psychological number, and that might make people start to panic a little bit more.
I mean, obviously you spent a lot of time in the state legislature, and I'm wondering what your assessment of how they're doing now and what kind of things can they be doing in the next, 7 to 14 days to help us in this situation, help small businesses, help families. Is there anything on the state level that they're not doing that you're seeing that they could be doing?
Oh, I think there's a lot that they could do. There's an unfortunate old phrase that dates back to ancient Roman times that during a war, the law is silent. And what we're seeing a lot out there is the law being silenced. We're seeing legislatures not meeting. We're seeing a lot of power given to executives to make decisions that are profound. But what I try to tell people is the people who are going to suffer the most during this is small businesses. I don't care if every human out there gets a $1,000 check. That's going to be spent on Amazon packages delivered to your front door. You can't go to the nail salon. You can't go to the gym. You can't get your hair cut. You can't go to a clothing boutique. All of those businesses have rather conclusively been deemed non-essential. And I'm worried that those businesses will cease to exist in the next several months. So what we really need are enhanced loans for small businesses. What we really need is some sort of mechanism to turn those small businesses into mail order houses and allowing them to come in under this whole non-essential decree. If that doesn't happen, I think the face of America will change quite a bit. We will be the Walmart and the Home Depot and the Amazon.com nation, even more so than we are already.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, small business is the backbone of this country. And if that fails, there's, a large majority of people who will be out of work, and then we're going to be in a whole another world of hurt. You bring up small businesses. This is the last thing I want to touch on, because I've gotten a lot of messages from small business owners who are very concerned. One, about making payroll, obviously. Two, whether or not they will shut their doors forever because of this. What can government do to help them other than loans? Because what I keep hearing from all these business owners is, I don't need any more loans. I've got all kinds of outstanding loans. I don't need more loans. I need help. This is not my doing. And the governor's told me I can't operate my business. How am I going to feed my family?
Yeah, so you're going to hear something that Democrats very rarely say, and that is George Bush Jr. actually had this right. After 9/11, the type of tax release that they passed was commensurate to the taxes you paid. So if you were a small business and you paid $300,000 in taxes the last year, what he did is he retroactively provided a portion of that to come back to you as a refund. It wasn't $1,000 per person, which, as we already noted, is going to be spent on Amazon orders. It would be some type of meaningful tax relief retroactive to the previous year. This is March. One of the only blessings that we have in this whole thing is that people were just about to file their taxes. If you provided everybody with a very, very substantial refund, you change the tax code in 2019, not 2020, these small businesses would be able to survive. It has to be some sort of massive, massive retroactive tax relief dating back to the previous tax year.
Right. That would have to be federal. That would have to be coming down from the federal government, and then as well the state as well. All right. Well, Mike, and personally, how are you and your family doing? I know you have small kids.
Yeah, we're doing okay. I mean, it's hard to manage all the things you have to manage with 3 little rugrats running around. And I'm shocked no one has run in during this interview. But we're doing okay, and we hope you and yours are doing wonderful as well.
All right, we are. Thank you, Mike, so much. We're going to try and touch base with you again next week and try and do something similar.
I look forward to it.
All right, thank you.